up, everybody, and welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the
Welcome.
Reality Kingdom.
TRK for short, bitch. Ooh.
I'm your host, Pharaoh. We're joined by our wonderful co-host, Lee, and we're here today to talk to you about Big Brother 25. Except it's been a year, ho.
It's been a year. It has since the Big Brother quarter quell, and we're back again. I'm really excited. Just quickly, we're about to get into Big Brother 26. That premieres July 17th. We're getting a little AI themes and things like that, but it does remind me of where we were last year when we were getting the tease for Big Brother 25 when they were trying to be all camp with the Frankie, Danielle, and Brittany. I'm not gonna lie, when that clip hit the timeline,
They did wake up the time. They woke us up. They woke us all up because I was like, hold the fuck phone. Who's coming back? What's gonna happen? Whole time it was just reindeer games. Really,
that's the thing. They were really promoting reindeer games much in advance. I see you, Big Brother. They're not slick.
I see you. So they really tried to they gave the promo is what they did give last season. I don't know if they can do anything that's gonna wake us up the same way they did that, because we were ignorant. We're thinking they might be on the actual season. Because it's the 25th season, and clearly in Big Brother world, they don't give a fuck about a relevant number. We might think to BB 25 means something. They clearly don't care. When BB 50 rolls around, I wouldn't bet money that something has to happen because they don't care about numbers. The All-Star seasons was 7 and 22, baby. It when 20 was like, it really could have just been 20. Like, please, it's they don't care. I promise you. So definitely don't expect anything. But if that was what they were giving for 25, their 25th season, seemingly a landmark season, I don't. BB 26 is probably just gonna be something normal.
Because they also basically introduced the multiverse twist in that clip too. Because they, whatever the gadget was, they accidentally hit it and it went into overdrive and it sent them into the future. So they were trying to go back into the past, wasn't they, to fix their mistakes? But it sent them
to a multiverse future.
A multiverse, yeah. Like they were giving camp, bitch. They were giving multiverse of madness. They were pulling from the MCU. That's one thing I do find funny about Big Brother, because they will try to keep up with the times in that way. Yeah, that was the whole multiverse of it all, because of what Marvel and everyone was doing multiverse. Everyone still is doing like a multiverse type thing. And then BB 26 is going to be AI. Like futuristic theme, which is like that's definitely what's all the rage right now. So that's cute.
Yeah, it is. So that's what they did. I really, in hindsight, because I guess that's what we're talking about. Like, if you don't know what this is, what we do is we just take a look back at the past season and kind of give our thoughts on it in hindsight. Now that we've had time away from it, we don't have that recency bias going on. All the emotions aren't really too attached to it. We did one for Big Brother 24, so you can check that out as well. And then we also did one for Big Brother Canada, which doesn't exist anymore.
I thought this should be a playlist.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. So yeah, we did a few. So if you want to go check those out. But we're here to talk about Big Brother 25. And in hindsight, I actually don't like that they promoted it the way they promoted it, because it didn't. It was a empty promise almost, or at least for me, because a part of me was like, okay, they're at least gonna bring back one of these people, or something's actually gonna matter in terms of the promo, other than just the twist being multiverse. And then the twist wasn't actually even multiverse. Like, it really didn't matter.
See, that's the thing. It was so camp, fake. It was camp for that first night, because 3 is technically a result of that twist as well, because of the multiverse mixing together. Because the whole thing was that it was Brittany, Frankie, and Danielle who were robbed house guests of the past, needing to get a second chance. And I did find it funny that Sari is that archetype for Survivor, and she I guess goes through the multiverse and ends up in Big Brother. I don't know. I was gagging, and on top of that, Jared's her son. So like, I think for me, going into this like huge, just like happy to see Sari in the game was really big for me at first. But we quickly saw, like, throughout the season itself, like, the multiverse thing was not fun. I assumed because it's the 25th single season is a landmark that we would be getting old competitions, which they did bring back one pressure cooker, and I'll give them that. But literally a power ruined that HOH that week anyway. So it was like, well, and they tried to do that. Like I remember there was a competition towards the end. They brought Kaser back because it was his competition. I just wish they did that more. I feel like every competition should have been some type of throwback. I feel like every week it should have been some sort of throwback. Like Zombie Week was not interesting. The Nether Realm was not interesting. The fact that 4 house guests were nominated first week, because week 1 was the Scrambleverse. Yeah. It's like I didn't like the idea of it seems interesting, but the way they executed it was not really that good at all.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of my issue with it because like by the end of the season, I'm like, oh, there wasn't really a twist. And that's what happens with every twist. Every time there's a twist, either by the end of the season, I hated it and it affected the game in a bad way, or it damn near barely affected the game and I didn't even really notice, or it just did stupid stuff. It never really, I can't think of an effective twist. There probably is 1 or 2, but it's like in recent seasons, especially, there's not twists that like really have had a hold on the season to where I remember it the way I guess I would have back in the day when they had cast twist. Like that's kind of what I've been hoping for a while, is that there's an actual cast twist, not just Sari coming back with her son, but like the cast is full of frenemies or enemies or duos or something like that. That was the more interesting twist. Just in Big Brother history, Big Brother 6 is still one of the most iconic seasons. Hence pressure cooker. That was the comp Kaser came back for, was pressure cooker, because that was his comp.
But I'm thinking about it, like the fact that I can't wait till we do this BB4 rewind, because the X's twist, like I would love that concept for a full 16-player cast. Yeah. Like I feel like if we were to bring back those cast twists for a bi-PLC season, imagine. Like, bro, like this is BB26. BB26 should be secret duos type shit. Yeah. Like, I wish they would do things like that, because that really, really makes it interesting. It sets the cast up in a way to where the game has to be different, because people fucking know each other. And that was in a bag, because that was season 4, then Project DNA, and season 5, and the secret duos in 6, and even 8 with the rivals. Like, I just feel like even 9, I like the concept of 9. Like, you go home in pairs because you guys are couples. Like, I thought all of that was really, really interesting. And then, of course, 10 was the back to basic. And I feel like everything after 10, they was like, okay, Pandora's Box. Okay, we're going to do teams. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do returnees.
And that idea kind of stayed for a minute, for a while.
Yeah, literally. And so I just wish that, like, with the bi-PLC era, hopefully, like, they could get back into that really, really camp bag. Because imagine a 16-player cast of rivals.
Yeah, that would be so interesting.
People who know each other. I would imagine a season of people where mom and dad are casted, sister and brother, sister and sister, parents win. Like,
and everybody, because I hate when they do one. Like BB21, that was stupid. Why do just Holly and Kat know it? It was an accident, and Tommy and Christy know it. Why is it just those two situations? And same here with Sari and Jared. Like, no matter how much I like Sari, I immediately was annoyed a little bit, because I was like, first of all, Sari gonna walk these hoes for the first couple of weeks, as she did, and then she's in there with her son, and it's like, why did only 2 people who got this advantage? Like, it is an advantage no matter how you want to feel about it. And it's like,
because Jared quickly becomes a detriment, but it was still an advantage. Like,
and that's the issue. It's like, I don't know. I just didn't. I would rather, if they were to do a cast twist, first of all, for it to actually be because they wanted a cast twist. They didn't have Jared because they wanted a cast twist. They had Jared because they knew Sari was going to be on the season, and they wanted her to have a little help.
I feel like this season was the perfect example of how the producers curate a season around a certain twist. Like, they knew Sari was going to be the twist coming in. That's why they casted 4 black women in total, including Sari. The only black man was Jared. And then we have Izzy, who's a huge fan of Sari, and just so happened Corey is a huge Survivor fan. His brother literally was on Survivor. So we're definitely trying to create situations where her safety could be secured. I feel like that is also why some of these twists are the way they are. Like, of course, she wasn't eligible to be a first nominee. And then you had this nether region twist that could, you could save a house guest from being nominated. So it's like, that's how production does. They try to they like to help their returnees as much as possible in little ways that they think we don't notice. But bitch, we notice. But I didn't give a fuck if it was Sari. To be honest, I didn't care. Like, going into it, I was fully on the Sari train. I didn't give a fuck if it was an unfair advantage. I was here for my mama to win. And also, I just feel like with the game of Big Brother, things can be advantages, but when you're playing for 100 days, those advantages are not going to last that long. It does take some finesse. And I feel like there's a reason why Jared and Izzy go home in the middle of the season, because they were not the strongest of players. So even though the advantage was there, they ruined it. And then as you can see, the offset to that, we see a Sari, who is like, of course she was making mistakes as well, but she was able to really, reset herself and still end up in a good position. And that is why she still ended up in Final Five, because she's a really good player. And I think of like someone like Paul and BB19. I do think that he has some early advantages, but it takes a pretty savvy player to like play 6 duos against each other. You know what I mean? Like, they may give you the baton, but you got to carry that for the rest of the season. So I feel like, it's just to the overall scale of it, I never see these quote unquote advantages as too annoying. Most of the time, it is the player themselves maintaining that position.
Yeah, and it's also a part of Big Brother. We're currently, and listen, if you're new here, or some people haven't been here since Big Brother 25 when we were doing it. So if that's the case, we do have a series called Big Brother Rewind, where we've been going back and rewatching all of the Big Brother seasons.
Will be in the description.
Period. And it will be in the description, so definitely check those out. We've already covered the entirety of Big Brother 2, and we're currently covering Big Brother 3. And in Big Brother 3, the first time ever someone is returning with Amy, and there's talks in the house. Well, one particular person is in the house talking about how it seems unfair and da-da-da-da. And I was going to say, it's like, in 26 years of Big Brother, by this time, twists like that, like you're talking about with Sari and Paul and stuff, it's so embedded into what Big Brother is. So by this time, you just gonna have to get used to it, baby.
And that's why, like, not even to jump ahead a little bit, it's like the Jag scenario throughout this season. It's like, I think a lot of people like to shit on his overall win as a player because he was evicted in the season. But this is Big Brother. This is, however much it doesn't happen, expect the unexpected. That's what we're supposed to do. So every once in a while, we actually need to expect the unexpected, and there's some shit that's gonna pop off that's gonna be random. And I feel like Jag being able to get saved with that power during that week is really, it's just really a stain on people's mind throughout the season because he went on to win. But I do feel like certain twists like that, we can't take away the overall win because someone got saved because of that twist. Because, like you said, I mean, it's ingrained in Big Brother. So these things are possible to happen. They're all aware that these things can happen, and they all had a chance to be affected or helped in the game by that twist. So it just happened to be Jag in this scenario.
I agree. I feel like that's the thing, because those were the main twists, or the main affected things in the season with the twist was Jag coming back, and then of course Sari and Jared knowing each other, being related throughout the season. But every other twist that kind of happened, there were things here and there where someone couldn't play veto or someone could do this and this. None of those really affected the season in a tremendous way, other than those two big things. And with the Jag, the Jag coming back after being evicted twist, it's so particular because he didn't even like leave the house. Like, this was like one of the first times where someone getting evicted, they didn't even let him walk out the door. So it's like, he did get evicted, but it wasn't kind of unfair in the way when people are like, oh, Amy wasn't in the game for 3 weeks and then she came back, da da da. It's not the same thing, because he still had to play every single week of the game from beginning of the week to the end of the week, because he never, after he got evicted, he never walked out the door. He was still there to play the next HOH and play the next week for the rest of the game.
I mean, and his eviction week was literally way back in week 3, I believe. Week 4, he was evicted.
And there was 14 weeks.
14?
13 weeks. 13 or 14 weeks.
It was too many damn weeks in this damn season.
So it's like there was still 10 whole weeks.
Week 4 when that happened. So I feel like a lot of people try to hold that against him. And then also, which I feel like we'll get into later on, how he was able to play 2 HOHs in a row. Like, a lot of people were upset about that because of the whole secret HOH week they had, and the next secret HOH was still able to play. I do feel some type of way about that, only because we've had a precedence for a secret HOH in Big Brother 23, and Claire literally had to throw the next competition. So I don't understand why Jag was able to play. But I do feel like with the way the competitions were going in this end game, that even if he wasn't able to win HOH, maybe one of his allies would have won, or he would have won veto. Like, I do feel like the same outcome could have most likely happened, but we'll never know because they did something stupid like let him play twice in a row.
And the issue is, and that's the thing. I understand the precedent or the fact that these stupid twists are ingrained in Big Brother, but I don't necessarily appreciate stupid twists. I do wish the twists that they made were more thought out and more. I feel like they aren't cautious of what they're putting into their game. It almost feels like they don't care, and that's always my and they don't care to think them out. They don't care about what it could affect. They don't care about the repercussions. They don't care about the fairness. They kind of just do it and move forward, and they do it just for the entertainment or the interest. But it's not entertaining to most of the fans, and then it doesn't cause an entertaining reaction most of the time. It's very rare where these powers and these twists actually cause something entertaining. One of the only times I can think of is in BB19 when Jessica was actually able to play that Haunting Hex Rise. But it's like, if you only hit one time out of the 99 times, then you need to do something else to where you can hit more, at least hit more. And that's my problem.
That was so gaggy when Julie was like, Jessica, how are you doing tonight? And she was like, well, I'm just happy that America voted me to power, so me and Cody will be staying around for another week.
She even gagged Julie. Julie was like, oh, I won't be commenting.
I won't be fake. Jessica is, I know.
Hold on now. You're getting a little too happy.
She was a really fun character. She was a really, really fun
character. Not human. But anyways, so yes, it's still, I'm hoping for Big Brother 26 for there to be, I'm hoping for a miracle because I'm hoping for there to be well thought out twist, a good cast with more diversity. There's so much stuff that I wish could, because this BB25 cast was very diverse. We got the first Sikh Punjabi winner and player at the same time this season. So thank you for the diversity that y'all are providing, but there's still so much work they have to do. Why is somebody saying the N-word in the season in 2024? Why are people saying R-word in the season in 2024? Why do you have two women who are over 50 plus years old, and you have competitions where they have to hang on a motherfucking rope? It's like, you want to be diverse and equitable, but then at the same time you don't. And that's the issue. And I feel like it happens in so many places in America. Even at my job, I'm dealing with stuff like that. It's like, y'all claim diversity, y'all claim inclusion, but then when you're actually looking at what your policies are and what you're doing, you don't actually do things that initiate or support diversity and inclusion. Because why is it that there's only one South Asian person every 5 fucking seasons? Why is it that there's only one East Asian person every 5 fucking seasons?
You would think Jack just won. There should be another Sikh Punjabi in BB26. It probably won't be.
We were just talking about
that there is. I would hope there is, but it probably won't be, unfortunately.
It probably won't be.
We see this time and time again when we have this unique archetype that comes with these seasons, and they are so polarizing that they get masses either hating them or just talking about them, just something for the show to talk about, and they don't like to repeat it. Like, I feel like we should have more people from Jack's culture in the Big Brother house so we can learn more about it. Like, it's unfortunate that he had to be the only one. And I feel like it's important for us to still want these things. I feel like with the BIPOC rule, you know, a lot of the time it's like, okay, we're just going to put more Black people. They'll shut them up. And it's like, well, no. I want true diversity. I don't want any person to be their only race or archetype in the house at all. Like, I really want them to start casting more transgender house guests. It needs to be at least 2 a season, I feel, so they can have someone else. Like, that's the whole point of why we wanted diversity, so no one felt completely alone in that house. And I feel like people are still having to go through that and still having to be ostracized for that. I do think the big difference is because of how, especially American society is with Black Americans, it was way more detrimental to us to be the only one. But now that we have the door open for more diversity, I would just hope that you don't just cast one.
There would be more diversity.
Or like for example, like Blue was East Asian, Jag was South Asian, and that's it for the Asian representation. We're done.
All together.
No one else. And it's like, okay, a third one could be in there. A fourth one could be there. Whereas the Latin representation, they barely get, you know? It's like they really... Like I said in the previous podcast, like, it's the white, it's the Black. Okay, that's the diversity, and a few mixed here and there, and the Asian there, and we're done. That's it.
And then it's like on top of that, they get so many of the same kind of archetype because they get still 4 or 5 white straight men, which is just not. It's also annoying because it doesn't have to be that way. Because if Luke, who got expelled anyways, week 1 for saying the N-word, was just instead a different race, representing a different culture, he could have even just been a trans white man. You can still get your white man, just make him diverse in a way. He could have been a gay white man. It could have been 2 gay men instead of just Heisem. It didn't have to just be one. And it's like, that's what's annoying, is they feel, or I don't know what they feel, but they seem to only get one archetype of every other. And then, like you said, black people here, white people here, and then everybody else just gets one. And it's like, why, when some of those black people can be gay and black and lesbian, where's the lesbian black women? Have we had one?
I don't think we have.
Where's the trans black woman, or a trans white man, or a trans white woman, instead of just 3 straight cis white women and 4 straight cis white men, and then 3 black people who one of them are mixed? Like, what are you doing?
Was skewed, like, now that you're talking about it, it's crazy. Like, looking at the cast of men, it was literally 6 white men.
Yes.
And you have Jag and Jerry.
And Heisem.
Oh, and Heisem. Sorry, so 5
white men.
5 white men. Heisem,
all straight.
Jag, and Jared.
But it's like, why are all 5 of the white men straight? One of them could have been a trans man. One of them could have been gay.
And then you at least women that have 4 black women. Now, I wouldn't hang too much on it, but then you have 4 black women, Izzy and Riley, 2 white women, and then America
and Blue.
America's biracial, and then Blue is Asian. So it's just like, I feel like that's just such an overpowering of one specific group. You never need that in the season. Like, it shouldn't be more than 2 or 3.
It should, and it doesn't have to be, because they have 16 players. You have so many options to mix and match what you're going to do every season. And yet all these seasons after the BIPOC rule has had 4 or more straight white men. And it's like, what the fuck for? They don't ever do anything. One gets expelled damn near every season, because this season it was Luke, and last season they wanted to expel Kyle, but he was getting evicted anyway. So they was like, well, we're just gonna let him get evicted that week and move forward. And it's like if y'all already are dealing with back to back, mind you, dealing with problematic situations with this group of people that you make the majority in the house.
Because remember, Brent was saying some weird shit in B23 too.
Like, back to back to back. It's always, if there's a weird, or a situation that's going on, it's been a white man, and y'all still are getting majority of that particular archetype in the season for no reason. So I would hope for them to learn their lesson, but we see with Big Brother, it takes them some time to learn their lessons usually. But by BB26, I would expect some trans people, a more diverse group of Asian people. It shouldn't just be one East Asian of one gender. Just either Derek X, we're going to skip a season, and then we'll have Blue Kim. We'll skip a season. We had, what was that girl who fought with Kimmy on BB21? It's like every other season you have an East Asian, and that's it. Bella. It's like you have Bella, skip a season. You have Derek X, you skip a season. You have Blue. And that's it for East Asian representation. It's like, why can't there be 2 in the same season? Why are y'all allergic to that? It's like they're allergic to having these people have a chance or some type of effort, because what we saw in the season was Blue, Jag, and Heisem. Because Heisem is also from that area of the world. But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. My point is, those 3 cultures aren't even exactly the same. They have to search for each other just from the rare similarities that they have, and they have to come up with an alliance and just call themselves, oh, well, we're all brown. And then they have to kind of support each other in that way, because it's easier for them to relate to each other, but it's still not seamless, which is why they didn't even all work together, because they're not all the same culture, and they actually are pretty different, and they're trying to search and find people who they can relate to the way that all the black people gravitated towards each other, and then most of the white people gravitated towards each other. And then they're left trying to figure out, okay, dang, what do we do? I guess it's just us. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Girl, quit playing with these people. Thank you for having the blacks. Good.
Honestly, I still appreciate it. I definitely still appreciate it. But I just think that I would like every group to honestly have ability to be able to work with each other for their own story, like to just hear more of other people's culture and other people's background, because at the end of the day, that is what Big Brother is for. Like, going back and watching Big Brother 2 and watching Big Brother 3, Big Brother has lost the plot of what it is. It is supposed to be these different people from different backgrounds coming together, and we don't need 3 of the same background coming in one house, Even and that's the even if they're going to be ignorant. We spoke about on this podcast before. I'd rather them just show the ignorance. Let them show their ass. Let them have these conversations. Because I remember the Kyle weekend, the way they would try to cut everything off from the feeds. And when we saw the edited version, it was only half of the story. The way they terribly edited the cookout story. And even here in BB25, I feel like we really didn't have too much of Jag's, background as a person, or every once in a while they like to throw it in there, but it's not on the level of how it used to be. I truly do like enjoying these people, just unpacking who they are and bonding over their different experiences and learning from their different experiences. So they definitely need to just pack this house with more people from those different backgrounds to be truly what Big Brother is. It's people from all walks of life trapped in the house having to play a game. And that's what it needs to be. The fact that any person can share an experience with someone else is crazy to me. It needs to be different, because at the end of the day, even there's like 4 to 5 different races and genders and archetypes, like there's still nuances within those. And I will say sometimes they try to like switch it up. Like they'll cast they'll cast Luke and Matt, and then they'll also have Corey, Cameron, Red. They're trying to like switch it up a little bit. But even then, we see those archetypes still trying to come together because we're all white. Yeah. So it's like you need to be more nuanced in that. Like I wish like they did more screening on who people hung out with IRL, who their previous exes, what are they doing in their day-to-day life? It seems like they cast people based off of the look. Like Luke, for example, he didn't do shit. They had to have been just how he looks. This is a tall, conventionally attractive white man that I'm sure the girls will live for if he makes it far enough in the game. Same with Matt. It's like everyone has a gimmick almost, and not to say that Matt disability is a gimmick, but the show uses that. That's what they wanted.
They did, because they didn't actually accommodate him for his disability in any way. So they had a sound competition for the first time I've ever even seen on the season with someone who is deaf. Like, why would you do that? And it's because you don't care, and you didn't even consider that, and you didn't even think of it, and you just casted him for the look of it all, which is ridiculous.
And I think that's what it comes down to. I wish it feels like they cared a little bit more. And I will say, with the early promo for BB25, I thought we were going to get that, but then as the season goes along, it's like, okay, same old Big Brother. So BB26, hopefully, they've learned. But child, what they say?
What they say?
Expecting the same thing from somebody?
Insanity. I'm not expecting anything. I'm in the back of my mind. I'm just hoping, not even hoping, because hope is an active word. I'm just sitting here and waiting. We're gonna see. We'll see.
I'm excited though. Big Brother season is always exciting. Like, to be honest, regardless of what the overall cast looks like at the end product, I'm gonna be excited to get a new cast of people.
Yeah, so, me too.
Hey,
we'll see.
Big Brother knows how to pull me back in. I don't know what kind of claw she got on me, but she won't let go. It's a death grip. The fact, like I said, the fact that I came back after BB15 should tell you enough.
Girl,
any black person that kept watching after BB15,
I will say they were
we go through this struggle every year.
They were losing me like week by like one season I would watch every week, and then the next one I would watch 9 weeks, and then I watch 7 weeks, and then by BB21 I only watched the first 4 weeks, and I was like, oh, y'all are losing me and losing me and losing me. It was going to be to the point I wasn't going to watch 22, and then it was All Stars, and they was like, oh
yeah, they got
by accident. Thank you to COVID.
I also didn't even finish after Bailey went home. I
didn't finish that either. Me too. Same. So it's like they were really losing me. It wasn't until they made the BIPOC era and I started this podcast that I was like, okay, let me recalibrate and get back into the show that I like, because now they're gonna have the niggas on there. And so that's where we're at. But
just better shows overall. Like, I don't think any of these seasons needed a black person to win for them to be interesting. Like, they were still interesting regardless, even with the issues with the casting that we're still calling out. These were still some pretty great seasons, and it's because of the diversity.
So speaking of that, I wanted to ask, with Big Brother 25, now that it's been a year, you've had time away, where would you rank the season of all the Big Brother seasons? Top, middle, low? You don't know.
It gets really boring in that second
doesn't it?
It's like
the entire second half.
And I love me some Jag, but I said this before. I love Jag, but I don't love Jag, Matt, and Bowie together. And I did not want to see that final 3. The fact that that's the final 3 is just like, ew. It's so bad. It like the beginning of this season, like it was top tier. Like the first half of the season was so top tier. It stressed me out. It brought me through so many emotions. But that second half was a snooze fest, and we had to get up here and cover it every single fucking week. So because of that, I do feel like it's a little bit mid. I feel like I have to see a full list, but if I'm doing it in my head right now, I think it's like mid-low tier.
Yeah, I definitely think it's bottom tier for me because kind of thinking in my head, I can't think of many seasons that I would put this above because I'm thinking, I'm like, what season would I put below this? And
okay, rank the new era specifically.
The new era specifically 23, 24, 25. And that says a lot for me because I hate when I hate the entire cast and I hated the entire BB24 cast, but I would still put BB24 over BB25 because of the cakewalk steamroll at the end. Like that was 6 weeks in a row where the HOH and the veto was held by the same 3 people. Yeah. And it's like, that is actually not interesting at all. I would rather the cookout steamroll version where it's like, they're not the HOH or the veto. They're just eating them up. So it's like for me, that was a no. And it's just, I think what's hard for me is like, like I said, I'm going through the season, BB2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would put all of them above this, except maybe 9. And it's like, okay, you're above maybe 9, maybe 14 for me. I know a lot of people like 14, but it's like you're maybe above those. But when you get to like, first of all, the prime time of Big Brother, that 11, 10 through 13 era, like you're not eating them. And then now that I'm rewatching the early seasons, you're not eating up the early seasons either. And it's like, so if you're not eating up the early season, you're not eating up them, you might get 16, but other than 16, I actually like 17. I actually like 18, me personally. So it's like you might get 16, 19, 20, and 9. You still bottom tier. So for me, I think this is like the highest bottom tier season. Like it's right at the top of the bottom tier.
I see what you're saying for sure.
So it's like, but it wasn't a bad. That's the issue. It did get bad. It turned into a bad season. It was very interesting and dynamic at the first, but even at the beginning, I'm not a fan of steamrolls. So at the beginning, I'm thinking, well, this is boring because it's a chaotic steamroll. Chaotic steamrolls are more interesting. So if the season kept going how it was going at the beginning, I think it would be more middle tier because it's still a steamroll the entire time. It's 3 wins. That's still boring, but it's more chaotic. But because it kind of transferred from a steamroll to a steamroll that I hate, it was a chaotic steamroll that I hate to a steamroll just with comps that I hate. It's like 2 halves of a terrible situation. So for me, it's probably bottom tier. And then I hate the results. Not that Jag won, but that group of people, like you said, the alliance. It's like, ew.
What would you put him as like an overall winner though, Jag?
Jag as an overall winner.
I think feel like he's really low, and I feel like we definitely have to redo our winner ranking. So if you go look, you may be like, hold on, well, girl, I just randomly checked. Girl, Lisa is 19, and it's like, hold on, bitch.
19.
Girl, Lisa shouldn't be
we wasn't talking about nothing, y'all. Don't even watch that video right now.
I feel like genuinely, because I'm trying to, when I try to look at like the qualities of Jag as a winner, because this was his winning game. I do feel like he had some pretty good qualities throughout the season. Yes, a lot of mistakes were made, but who's to say you can't make mistakes and win the game? Now, was his mistake being evicted? Yes. But, it's still very possible. And I just feel like at the overall list of winners, I would put him probably middle of the road. I don't think he's that necessarily terrible, but I can see how if you take into the account of, like I said, the back-to-back HOH, the fact that it was mainly just because he was winning competitions in that second half, I definitely understand it. But I think that he did some pretty impressive things while in control that people try to like ignore a little bit because it does, like I said, it takes savviness of a player to still do certain things. And I mean, you can't deny that after Zombie Week, he literally orchestrated every single eviction. And he did win a lot of those HOHs, but he didn't win all of them. And you have a masterful player like Cerise still in the game that he was still able to outplay. Because I feel like one of the major things that people were saying is that, Matt was always going to choose Cerise over Jag. People were underestimating how Jag's social game and how close Matt and Jag actually were to each other. Like, people were underestimating how clutch the Bowie relationship would help Jag, and Jag forged that. People were underestimating how Jag stayed close to Corey in America since like the early weeks, and it was like, oh, well, he's throwing him under the bus here, he's throwing him under the bus there. He's clearly not that good of a player, but he still maintained that relationship. So it's like, I think that he was doing a lot of good things here and there. And genuinely, Cerise, Izzy, and Jared were making so many mistakes that it led to him winning. Like, when I was going through our notes, one of the things I was realizing is that they continued to play in Jag's face from the beginning of this week when they told him we're keeping Riley and then didn't keep Riley. When they created an alliance with him and then still pawned him twice in a row. When they literally evicted him. When Cerise snitched about his power to Jared and Jared checked him. They kept fucking up in his face, but then keeping him in the game. And there would be so many weeks where Jag would clock them and then he will revert going back being loyal to them. And that's when we would say he was dumb. But once Corey flipped the game, it was very clear that Jag's loyalty was never fully with them. That's why when they came to top 5, Sari was never staying in that scenario because Jag had Sari clocked for weeks at that point. So I get it. We can judge him when he was down, but seeing him as a player in power, I think he was doing a lot of good things that genuinely only benefited him. And he made sure of that. And maybe that is a lot of confidence he got from already being evicted. But I mean, still, like that's the scenario he was given. It's not like he made the twist. Big Brother made the twist. And he used it to get him to the win. I think there are so many people who would have came back into the season, or there are people who come back all the time who go straight home. So it's like, it's still, you can't take everything away from him. Like, he's the first person to be evicted to go on to win the game. And I think that's for a reason.
Yeah. I think I feel like I agree with a lot you said. I don't like that people kind of ignore every other thing he did because he got evicted. So it's kind of just like in a lot of people's mind, he got evicted. That's it. He got evicted. He has to be the worst winner. He has to be the lowest winner. He can't be and it's like, to me, none of that really makes truly any sense, because if that's if that's the case, if all Big Brother is not getting evicted, then you would say every winner is the best player ever. And a lot of you don't feel like Jordan Lloyd is a good player. A lot of you don't feel like Rachel Riley, Josh is a good player. And it's like, why not if they never got evicted? So it's like the whole concept of him getting evicted, meaning he's a terrible player, to me just doesn't make sense, because that would mean everyone who hasn't been evicted is a great player. And that's not true. So it's like, honestly, I don't like that argument. I feel like if you're going to say Jag isn't a bad player, you should come with actual credit and reasons of why he's a bad player. He did this move and da. Like, other than just him getting evicted, I would rather you tell me how he got evicted, saying that's the reason he's a bad player, because he volunteered to be nominated. That wasn't even that week, but still, stuff like that. I would rather you say he volunteered to be nommed here. He trusted Serena when she clearly played in his face. All of those reasons are more of a reason why he isn't a good player, which is why I will say, for me, I do think he's like similar to the season, the upper, either the bottom of the middle tier or the upper of the lower tier of a winner for me, because it's like he did have a lot of mistakes, and I felt like he had a lot of time to recalibrate his mistakes because of how long the season was. Not only was the season 13 weeks, but there was also a zombie week where there was no HOH, no veto, no nominations, no anything. And it's like, that was around the time where the game had flipped and he had so much time to sit in that flipped game as well. It's like, I do think he has a lot of good qualities that a lot of players just don't have. Right. But also there was a lot of mistakes or a lot of like fumbles that a lot of good winners don't do. But also on top of that, he's playing against a person who's played these types of games for damn near a fourth of her life. So it's like a lot of players don't have to play against people like that. So it's so many different factors into his win, I feel, to where it kind of jangles it up.
And I think that's what, and this is an accident on Big Brother 25's part. Like, the season gave multiverse because of the players. Like, the way Sari, Izzy, and Jared were playing for those first 5 weeks, it was like they were opening fucking dark holes of timelines that were not supposed to open. If y'all watch Marvel, y'all get what I'm saying. Like, they was having some nexus points, okay? The shit that was happening was not supposed to happen, but they were so chaotic as players that it was crazy things happening. And I think that is what led to Jag winning. Because there were so many times that they wanted to try to get Jag out and they didn't. Last minute flips that didn't go through. And he was able to get past that. And of course, I mean, Big Brother, good old comps that they always do every single year, he beats it out in the end. And I think that's why a lot of people are just down on it. It's like he was evicted and he won in a way that people hate. But I do think it's similar to Tyrell from Big Brother Canada in a way of like, it's not like he was at the top of the game and he was winning and we were all annoyed. It was that second half, he did kind of need to win those HOHs. If someone else outside of his trio won, they would have targeted Jag and Jag would have went home.
Yeah.
So he needed to win those comps to stay in the game. And of course, I see the argument of, oh, if he needed to win to stay in the game, then why is he such a good player? Hey, you feel free to feel that. And I definitely understand that argument. I think he is someone that could be targeted if they were to come back, probably very early on. But like I said, I'm just trying to judge the qualities that we did see as a good player, because we cannot deny that he got to the end doing something. Like, I can't sit up here and accept that he got to the end of this game and won and didn't do anything and didn't deserve it. Like, I think that every person who wins is very deserving by the end, because you don't just get the final two and win if you don't deserve it somehow, you know?
Yeah. You had to
like, you did something that worked for the season, and he did something that really, really worked for the season. But I think people are trying to say that it's only these advantages. But when you look at him socially, he had a lot of clutch.
They voted him to win.
Literally.
They voted him.
I mean, like I said, I was going through, and that first week, the Family Style Alliance, it was Jag, Blue, Riley, Cameron, Matt, Corey, America. All of them were in that big conglomerate. If I'm missing the name, I don't know, but it's one of the young ones. The only person in that alliance to go home pre-jury was Riley. And I remember saying this while the season was airing. The Sari and Jared and Izzy structure took out every single one of their allies pre-jury, starting with Kirsten, Heisem, Red. They tried to get Cameron. Who else went home that was working with them? But it was like 3 weeks.
They took them out, and then Izzy went home, and
then Izzy went home, and then the house fully flipped. So every person in that alliance that Jag helped create, Riley fully deferred to Jag to create that alliance, voted him to win, and those were all connections that he kept. I think it was people were not noticing this relationship that he had with America and Corey. I mean, he still has IRL today. He had been forging that while no one else did that. He kept a relationship with Cameron. He kept a relationship with Blue. He kept a relationship with every single person in that group. And because of the mistakes of the other people in the game, he was able to get to the end, and those people helped him win. And it's like I said, you can take the fact that it's other people's mistakes as a reason to say he's a bad player. I do understand that. But once again, that's not his fault. He worked with what he worked with. And I'm presenting an argument as to why he still would have deserved it, because that is good work on him. I mean, he showed in that first week the type of player that he could be in, I feel like, a normal situation. Like, I feel like Sari being in this season made it very abnormal, because she was light years ahead of all of them. I do feel like if Sari was never even in it, Jag probably could still win.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the issue that honestly Derek Levasseur has caused is that Big Brother has started to become this concept of the best player is going to run the season from beginning to end, and if you're not the one running it, you're not a good player and you're not the best player. And because this meta or this new concept has arose because of the Derek bomb squad structure, and then that structure kept getting repeated and repeated and repeated, it was so easy to see who's a good player and who's not, and it kind of really divided the whole concept of Big Brother. And then it gave so many people not even a chance, so there's not a chance for things to shift and flip. And then in the new era, you get this new arising of how the game can be played, to where there's so many shifts and flips throughout the game. Like Big Brother 24 started off with Paloma running the game, and she went home the first week. And it's like that entire structure continued to go on for the next 2 weeks until the leftovers was formed. And then the leftovers had to break up. It was so much different shifting and dynamics, to where it's like some people don't feel like Taylor's a good winner, and some people don't feel like Jag's a good winner. But it's like y'all have been spoiled and brainwashed with this concept of how Big Brother should go and how neat and seamless it should be, that if someone wins without playing a neat and seamless game, it seems bad. But it's not necessarily bad. It's just the game has evolved, baby. Every winner's going to have to go through some shit, because even if Sari won, you couldn't say that was neat and seamless. So if Sari would have won this season, it would have been like, oh, I mean, she won, but it wasn't. But it's like, no, she doesn't have to not be as good as a player just because it was so much more
carbon copy of what a good player is supposed to be.
Exactly.
And one thing that every winner needs, I think every winner has the quality of adaptability, and you cannot say that these last three, Xavier, Taylor, and Jag, did not have that, especially Jag. I think that he had to adapt every single week, because specifically Sari was switching it up every single week. But I found a screenshot of the list that we did. Okay, boom. I'm looking. He's for sure not better than Derek, Dan, Will, June, Andy, Nicole.
No.
Hayden,
no.
Cody.
No.
Xavier.
No.
Maggie, no. Now, Mike, I'd make an argument for Mike.
And I would, and Mike as his own single self, yes. But when you watch BB7, when we do the BB7 rewind, you wouldn't make an argument for Mike. Next, can't be above Mike.
And
then
we have Jackson.
I would say below Jackson.
Lisa.
Definitely below Lisa.
Dick.
Now that's a questionable one.
Drew.
I would say below Dick.
Casey.
I would say below Drew. He could be above Casey.
He above Casey. And under Casey is Steve, Adam, Ian, Jordan, Rachel, Josh.
Honestly, Steve should be above Casey and Jag, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But after Steve, it should be Jag, then Casey, and then all the other flops. So that's where I feel like middle tier, like low middle tier. I think is where that is. It's like you're at the very bottom of the middle tier, and then everybody else below you is the low tier. Bottom tier. Everybody else below you is Rachel, Jordan, Ian, Josh. Yes. So yeah, like
he's the best of the worst. And that's my king. Because y'all know, if y'all was with the reality
Jackinator,
if y'all was with the reality kingdom BB25, I was the first person. I feel I will coin it, bitch. I was the first person to fly. Probably not. Because there's some people on Twitter. I follow people on Twitter that was also
they were Jagginators.
We saw each other. But a lot of people was not on that Jag train. I mean, it was very obvious for a while that in that second half of the game, he had the capabilities to win. I mean, I thought that he was a better player than Matt. I still stand by it with certain qualities. And that he was just the best set up in that situation. Like I said, by that second half, he had a relationship with majority of the people in the game, including Sari and Felicia. Sari and Felicia were out of their way to help save Jag in these earlier weeks because of the game that he was helped creating. So not to be on his dick too hard, but he did do a lot of good things. Because like even when I want to mention too, like the 7 Deadly Sins Alliance, I forgot that he pitched that.
Yeah.
Felicia told him he's going on the block, and he said, "Okay, let's make an alliance." And at the time, everyone was like, "Well, that's dumb. Why would you make an alliance with people who just put you up?" Those people saved him.
Yeah.
Sari made Matt use the power. The next week, yeah, they pawned him, but then they also saved him again because they're dumb. So I don't know why they kept saving him, but we talk about this all the time. Creating an alliance with people, it forces them into situations where they have to look out for you, even if they don't want to. And that was always Jag's go-to. Let's make an alliance. Let's make an alliance. And we always kept saying, I mean, yeah, that's good, but you have to be doing more. Like, why are you turning on America so hard? But it's like, it all culminated for him in the end.
Yeah. So there's that. We have to talk about the Fields family values. Because the Fields family, they ran in their own particular way around like the first 4 weeks of the game, first 5 weeks of the game. They had a lot of control those first 5 weeks, and it was
definitely the first. Yeah, because Eddie goes home week 6, so the first 5 for sure.
Yeah, the first 5 weeks they ran, and it was such a drastic shift between them literally running the entire game and them being taken out one by one. It was literally
nasty.
It was literally within 1 week. But that first half of the game where they were the ones running the social strategy because of Sari figuring out the fact that there was this other family style alliance that you talked about. And then also Jared not really being a part of it. And they were able to create all these 50 million different alliances and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I remember at the time, we were like almost conflicted because we were kind of like, okay, this is terrible, but Sari is so good at making everything work for her that even though she's doing so much of this work that it seems counterproductive, it seems like she's doing too much, it seems like she could get caught up. She's so good at positioning herself that when is she going to ever go,
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's do the alliances because we have that Sari created or was in, and I may miss some. So starting with
bye bitches.
Did Izzy, Jared, and Sari ever name each other? They're the original Fields.
I think they did have a name.
We have the Fields. They created the Crossroads with Corey. There's also the Bye Bye Bitches. There's also the Professors. There was Legend 25 to trick Cameron and whatchamacallit. There was For Real to trick Corey in America. There was 7 Deadly Sins to trick Jag in them. Am I missing something?
Brown Sugar Babes.
The Brown Sugar Babes. I mean, it just kept going.
It kept going.
And I remember what I continued to say was, you know, I always gave Sari her 10s, but it's very chaotic the way she was playing. I mean, they would literally create groups and then go against it within the exact same week. One thing that her Izzy and Felicia would do together is get so paranoid, hype each other up, and they would just start acting on their paranoia. And I think that was the biggest thing. As soon as an idea was pitched, they would act on it. And then they changed their mind 2 days later. So it's like all the work you just did now has to be undone. And they do it so sloppily. And it just eventually caught up to them literally during week 5 on the red week when they kept jagging the game again for some reason, took out Red and left Bowie out of the HOH. They blindsided Bowie and Cameron, and that's when we led into Cameron's HOH that Corey used to flip on Izzy. It's like it caught up to them. And of course it was, because why are you actively flipping on people that's not on your side? And I think that's why Cirie was making so many mistakes that led to other people being able to get the win, is because she really assumed that every single person was playing on the level that she was. She was making side deals and alliances here and there, so she assumed everybody was doing it. She thought Mimi was in some middleman alliance that she wasn't in. She thought Bowie Jang was some high level mastermind genius. So she was worried about Cameron. She was worried about Red. She was worried about Bowie Jang. That she didn't realize that Jag, Matt, Corey, and America, and Blue all have an alliance that they were still pretty much loyal to.
Yeah. It's like, I think the paranoia level, first of all, you get more paranoid. According to Cirie said shit like this herself, that you get more paranoid in the Big Brother house. It's just a more increased, intense environment. It's way more difficult, according to Cirie, than it is in Survivor. And then I also think in Survivor, being paranoid usually helps promote you doing better in the game. While in Big Brother, being paranoid, it always ends up coming back around to you, to where it's like, if you do act too much on that paranoia and you don't control it, it really spirals out of control. And it's like, it was, like you said, it was kind of mistake after mistake after mistake. Because Cirie is so good, it took damn near 3 strikes before her to be out. Because
it wasn't even her strikes, to be honest. It was mainly her.
It was other bitches' strikes, and that's the issue. But it's like, really, the whole first of all, saving Jag, followed by the next week you left Bowie Jane and Cameron out of that vote for Cameron, Bowie Jane and Cameron out of the red vote. Even after you flipped Cameron against Red, you could have just told him. And then the week after that, Cameron wins the HOH and put your asses up, or put you and your closest allies up. And that's what helped flip the game, was Cameron. Really, we talk about Bowie Jane being left out the vote, which flipped her, of course. But really, the main issue was Cameron being left out the vote, because he won the next HOH and took y'all asses out. And y'all didn't have to do either of those things. You could have just told them both about it. And that's the issue. When you have so much control, you can just follow the Derek strategy and have everyone be on your side, because that's the smartest thing to do. So it's like, thank you for not doing it, because it's more entertaining. But when it comes to the strategy of the game, you should just have everyone on your side. You already have an alliance with all of them. Tell everybody about the vote. None of them care. Bowie Jane would have did it. That's why she walked in there and she was mad at them and she checked their ass. She did check them. That was funny. I will say.
Nasty.
She checked their ass and she was like, well, why y'all didn't tell me about the vote? We in alliance. And they was like, well, either you're with us or you're not. She was like, well, it looks like I'm not, because you didn't tell me about the vote. And it's like, well, she's kind of killing.
I was like, I don't know why they're treating Bowie Jane like this, losing Bowie Jane. Bowie Jane is an integral part of this season. Those players always are. I think that was Tyler's superpower, and was working more strategically. And Vanessa with Steve. It's like, these players who are no one's paying attention to, they're a vote, and damn, they're always win competitions in this end game. Keep them on your side. Them losing Bowie Jang fucked them over so hard in that second half, and they continue to do this with so many of their allies. It started with the Heisem week. From week 1, creating the professors with Heisem on the basis of, we're the outsiders, we're the minority, we're the older folks in the game. We have to take a stand against these young people. And then the next week when Heisem wins HOH, he's too condescending. He's calling us the others. He has to now go. And I remember during that week, I'm like, how the fuck are y'all gonna win competitions against these young people that are beasting out? And it's like, oh no, they don't need it. They don't need it. And that's what led them to even wanting to keep Jag, because the idea was, we don't have Heisem anymore. Now we have to keep Jag, so Jag can go after Cameron and Red. And it's just like, they kept.
And why are they going after Cameron and Red anyways? Cameron and Red want to work with y'all so bad, and it's so weird because specifically Cirie is who they wanted to work with, and she's the one who's running it. She's the one who, everything that matters is what matters for her. Izzy and Jared were working for her, so all she had to do was say, okay, wait, Red likes me. What are we doing? And I remember her using and I don't want to put her actual mind and thoughts into words into her mouth, but she's saying some of the things she did was because she wanted to help Jared's game more than hers. I remember her mentioning that a few times. And it's like, girl, if you run somebody, that's going to help Jared game because you run them.
Literally.
So it didn't really make sense to me, even that concept, because Red was feeling some type of way about Jared around that time. But it's like, all you had to tell him was stop feeling that way. It doesn't matter. You run him. You run everybody. You run the game. Everybody listens to you. I'm finna get mad.
But literally, no shade at the clock. It's like the week that she had Matt. I think Matt may have would have used that power anyway. So I don't want to just say Sari definitely convinced Matt to use it. But in general, like when he used that power and stayed in the game, and then he stayed the very next week because of a vote. During that time, he was saying a lot of negative things about Jared. Like he literally came to and was like, "I think Jared may have told Corey, and that's how America knows." And and Sari, I literally remember her telling Izzy, "When you talk to Jared, don't mention that Jag said that." Yeah, because she wanted to keep Jag because it was best for her for her game in that moment, which it wasn't, but she thought it. So it's like that's definitely an excuse. No shade to my mama. Like she was in no way targeting these people because they were going after Jared, especially Heisem. We literally saw it. We saw the little things that they use to create these targets every single week. Like the fact that the vote almost flipped every single week, like it just got to a point where it's like it's honestly exhausting to watch because they would do so much work towards a goal and then it would flip.
And then they would do so much work towards a new goal. That's the thing. They always were going to work towards whatever direction they wanted to win in, and they just went in so many different directions. So I really think all of that paranoia, all of that extra work that they kept doing and all these different alliances and all of these different, it was really, if you haven't seen Inside Out 2, watch it on bootleg because we don't support Disney. Watch it on bootleg and you will see exactly who was in the forefront of their mind, and that was anxiety, because they were literally like thinking of paranoia needs to be a damn emotion because that's what it was. It's like they're literally thinking, oh, what if this happens? And what if Mimi?
1 week where Izzy, Sari, and Felicia are literally upstairs. It's Felicia's HOH week.
With this fucking
looking at the TV in the HOH, watching live feeds. Like, mind you, there's no sound. Look at Mimi going the blue.
She's telling
Mimi that we upstairs and that she not in the alliance. And then Jared came upstairs and he was like, "What y'all talking about?" And they told him, and he was like, "How y'all know all of this? It's in the air. You can't feel it.
It's in the air. We feel it in the air. Y'all are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It was getting crazy.
Motherfucking Cocoa Puffs.
And this goes to, and I was saying this as well, because after this first half of the game, of course, we get to the infamous week of Cameron winning his second HOH and him after being just left out of the thing, not wanting to talk to anybody, not wanting his mind to change, and nominating Felicia and Izzy. And Corey is being damn near bashed, bombarded, dragged, saying that he's finna go up as a pawn next to his girlfriend and we taking her ass out because she's an R word, all of this other let me stop. But all of this other stuff, it's like that basically showing Corey while they're on the block, while Izzy's on the block and Felicia's on the block, showing Corey exactly where he stands and not caring. And this is because there was a twist this week with the veto, I want to say, where Felicia and Sari were tied to each other. So they were having to walk around with each other all day. So Sari couldn't talk game the way she does, because usually she'd be talking shit about Felicia's shit. So she couldn't really do it in front of Felicia. So she had to, and especially that week, she wanted Felicia to go over Izzy. So she could not talk the game she wanted to talk for most of that week. So it was left up to Izzy to save herself and Jared to help save Izzy. And that entire week, they're telling Corey, literally telling Corey, we're putting up your girl next week. She got to go next week. We're nominating you right next to her, and we don't give a fuck. Arguing with him about it, bickering with him.
And then remember, this started also. It kind of started in the week before too, during Jared's HOH in week 5, because when he initially wanted to target Cameron won his veto. Before Jag was the renom, America was almost a renom because Corey dumbly was throwing America under the bus to try and protect her. I get the logic, but it was just...
No, I don't. What is the logic?
I get it because like, I don't want to be nominated next to each other. It just went too far.
Please.
He kept doing it. But also, that's when America kind of game got exposed because she was talking to Jag about how Sari is the power structure and we have to go after them. And Jag, we already talked about how he'll clock and then he'll change his mind. So every time he would change his mind, he would throw America under the bus.
Yes, literally.
So at that point, they were like, okay, maybe America can go. And Corey did good work in flipping him off of America. But then when it was decided that it was going to be Jag, you remember Corey kept debating him that week about why are you not putting up Jag and all of these reasons. And Jared would basically tell him, well, do you want to put up America instead? Like, what do you want? Like, it became very clear at that point that what Corey's interests are no longer aligning with Jared. Because at that point, they had a funnel too. He thought that was his true funnel too, and that they were working to, at some point, flip the house
against Sari and
Izzy.
Yeah.
So that's what his mindset was, and of course, Jared was not going to do that. And I think this week, like you said, Sari is busy in the kayak. You have Izzy literally telling him to his face, like you said, that America's going to go home, and Jared, this entire week, was campaigning against them to go up. And that's information that Cameron confirms for them and other house guests as well. So they were being very, very sloppy. She was only in the kayak for 48 hours, and that literally sunk all three of their games. So, and that's why I said, like, yeah, you can blame Sari, but I feel like it literally one decision, if she just was not in that damn kayak for 48 hours, I don't think it would have happened. Because she literally told Izzy, you do not need to push America to Corey. Do not do that. And what did she do?
Exactly that.
And I think Izzy's mindset was like, well, me and Corey have a special relationship. Corey knows he needs me in this game, but Corey needs his woman more. Okay? Like someone that's going to be loyal to him and not choose literally Sari over him. So.
And then also, up until this point, a lot of the game convo involved Sari. And the only reason she wasn't involved this week was because she was in that kayak. And it's like, it gave them time, the other people, time to have a conversation. Because I remember thinking, damn, I don't ever really see them all talk like this. Because they were like up in that little room that Blue and Jared used to be in all the time. And that little area in the middle. And it was like Corey and America and then Jag and Blue, or no, not Blue. Jag and Cameron were like all in that area as well because Cameron was the HOH. And it's like they're all here and then Matt's here and they're like, we should probably tell Matt too. And then they all just start talking and they're like, well, shit, this could just be the votes to take out Izzy. And it's really Corey who was the deciding factor. Corey was always the person who was preventing, in a way, any of the game to shift too much because he had so much of Sari the Fields family's trust. All of them felt connected to him. He was in the Crossroads Alliance. It wasn't until all those alliances started getting exposed by him that everyone started realizing, oh, okay, bitch, they've been lying to everyone all season, because when Corey decided it's fuck them, he was able to ruin their games because they had trusted him so much. But it's like, that's why they shouldn't have been going against him anyways, because they had told him so much information and they didn't even remember. I genuinely think because that was the week that Corey went, he got the votes, and he even went as far as trying to get Mimi's vote, which he didn't even have to get because Mimi was not voting out Felicia. So he went to Mimi and he exposed all the alliances to Mimi. He exposed all the alliances to Matt. He exposed all the alliances to Jag. He let everybody know every single alliance and everything culminated to the same situation. And that's when Jared got wind of it, and Jared, him, and Matt were in the have not room, like arguing, and then him and Corey started arguing.
Jag, remember?
Jared lied on Jag.
Jared caught wind of something, some rumblings are happening. And he randomly, I forget who he told. I think it was Corey directly. He said that Jag told me something about the vote maybe flipping. So Corey then talks to Matt the next morning and it's like, I don't know if we can do this because Jag obviously snitched. And then that's when Jared comes in the room and they start going at it. I mean, everything gets unpacked. And Jag eventually comes in the room and it's outed that I didn't say that. And then he goes, Jared, oh, well, you didn't say that, but that's what you meant. And then, like, Jared did a terrible job in this conversation. This conversation was like, when I think of BB25, I think of this week in this conversation in the halftime room, because this was a crazy moment for the game. I mean, everything was being exposed in this conversation. Bowie's in the room. Jag is there, Matt's there, Sari eventually comes in.
I hated that it wasn't a house meeting. It was pissing me off.
Jared kept saying, let's go get everybody. He go, Corey, no, I don't want to do that.
I feel like it would have benefited Corey for it to be a house meeting, because everybody would have been able to be like, oh, okay, these are all lies. Because Corey already went around trying to expose all these lies. And it's like, you're telling the truth. and you know they're lying. So when you know you're the one who's in the right, it's beneficial for you to call a house meeting because then all of their asses can get exposed. It like left room for a potential for it to not happen, and I didn't like that. What?
Do you remember how Bowie was clocking Serena? Yeah! What did she say? Do you
remember? Bowie, because Serena, and honestly, I don't know how to feel about Serena because Cerie would have never gotten herself in this situation. So she's probably never had to deal with something like this. But Cerie walked in the room and she's like trying to chime in and being like, well, no, I wasn't in any of that. And then they were like, oh, we're not talking to you actually. And then Jack was like, I mean
like, yeah, it's kind of like the cookout. Like everyone wants to be like the cookout. And Bowie was like, yeah, but it's not like the cookout because we didn't know about those alliances.
Yes. And then Cerie was like, I'm pretty sure we all had different alliances. And Bowie was like, well, I didn't. And she was like, you did have this. You had this other alliance. She was like, but it didn't have a name. Y'all actually had names to all these alliances. It seems like. And it's like, dang.
A really bad combo, and honestly, it stemmed from Jared treating Corey like shit for the past 2 weeks, and Izzy randomly deciding to tell him on the block while she's nominated that your girlfriend's going home soon. It was not good work. Also, I would say they really should just listen to motherfucking Felicia and Mimi overall, because they were literally telling them the week before that we should just keep the vote against Jag. If Jag had went home, they would not have lost Cameron, they would not have lost Bowie, and they wouldn't have eventually lost the game to Jag.
Yep, literally. But hey, we move. But so this all flipped the game. Of course, Izzy went home. Jared won the next HOH, so they could have controlled it, but they didn't have any of the information anymore. They weren't getting any more valuable information, so they ended up taking out Cameron, who wasn't in any of the new dealings anyways. And then that went
which was crazy because this was definitely the week he should have took out I feel like Corey literally wins this next double and takes him out, but it's like he tried to blame Blue because Blue was very much aware. This is like once Corey helps Corey in America, honestly, because America did a lot of good work this week too. When they flipped the house on the fields, the new alliance kind of created between Comerica, the Minutemen, Jag and Matt, Bowie, and then it was supposed to be loosely Mimi and Felicia, but they were still loyal to the Brown child. So that alliance was starting to form, and it was very obvious that Corey initiated this flip. I mean, you had an hour-long argument with the man in the have-not room, and he still, for some reason, did not want to target him. I guess he felt like there may still be something they can reconcile with. Like, Matt literally voted against them that week, and their mindset was like, well, maybe we can still work with
They thought they could still have Matt and still have Corey. And it's like at this point, what are y'all doing? Because y'all used to overestimate everybody, and now y'all are underestimating these people who already turned on you in your face.
Another thing, too, I just think that Jared, he never, like, strategically, Jared was not the best at all. Like, socially, I would give him his 10s for that, but strategically, he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Most of the time, he would just talk, say words, string sentences along. So when it came to actually playing in that way, he really would just defer to Izzy and Cerie. So with Izzy now out of the game, there was a huge shift in how many conversations were being had about the vote, about alliances, just active gameplay, really. And I think that really hurt them because Cerie would say things like, maybe we should just try to make a deal with Cameron and go after Corey because if these groups are forming, we got to do something. He'd be like, nah, it's good. No, it's okay. No, it's fine. We're good. And it's like, no, you're not good at all, actually.
And Cerie's someone who relies on her allies to help her with the strategizing, which is why Izzy, in a way, was a good ally for her because Izzy's very active. And it was clear after Izzy went home how Cerie played that Cerie really isn't the one who usually does that. And she admitted it. She said on Survivor, I loved working with Aris? Vetus? Whatever his name was, Aris. And then also she loved working with Parvati because she was able to kind of bounce off of them and allow them to kind of take some of the controls and reins when it came to the strategy. And then we saw at the beginning, she really relied on what Izzy was enacting after she and her would bounce off the ideas. Izzy would go do all that shit. Izzy was the one who was starting some of these alliances. Izzy was the one who was like, let me go talk to Corey. Izzy was the one who was like, let me go talk to Jag. Izzy was the one who was like, let me make this alliance. It was a lot of Izzy doing all this active stuff, or at least her bouncing off the idea with Izzy. And then when Izzy went home, she could only bounce off Jared. And you could tell she kind of didn't want to because in the back of her mind, she knew this nigga don't know what the fuck you talking about. So she would come up with ideas, would shut it down. She would be low-key annoyed.
She literally said she wanted to quit this week. This is the week that she was like, I'm done. Maybe
she was like, just take me out.
Take me out. It's like she was fully done, and that's when the shift happened. Like I think that it allowed for people like Cameron, Jag, Matt, Corey, America to really take over this game.
So and it's like I think it was just they really, it was a lot. We already talked about everything they did, but it's like they really messed up in who they were choosing. Like you had so many choices and you just didn't choose right. And you isolated all the wrong people and you let all the wrong people make it far in the game. It was crazy. And then this led to the double eviction where Jared went home. And of course, Felicia and Mimi didn't give a fuck about all that. And then they tried to go off on Felicia at that same night. And I remember when you bitches, fuck all the fans. Because all you fans tried to sit there and act like
not all the fans.
A lot of the fans. It was a big majority of y'all.
Yeah.
Who tried to act like Miss Felicia was not saying anything but facts when they were arguing, when she was arguing with Sari. And I know, I get it. I love Sari too. But no one in the world, even my damn mama, is right all the time.
Yeah.
And Sari was definitely not right here because Felicia said, y'all literally were trying to evict me the entire week I was up with Izzy. And y'all sat there and tried to say that Felicia was lying and wrong. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
They were literally trying to get this lady out of the game. And they were like, well, that's because Felicia tried to make a final two with Jared. You mean the final two with Jared who's inside of the Brown Sugar Babes?
I think that's the disconnect. At the end of the day, Jared and Sari were never loyal to the Brown Sugar Babes. And that's why I said, moving forward, stop trying to make these cookout S alliances if y'all not going to be loyal to them. Because I feel like that is really what hindered Felicia and Mimi. They were trying to work what was best for the group. Like, I feel like that move of even trying to get Jared as her final two was like, okay, let me work out my relationships within the Brown Sugar Babes. So when we're in the final four, I get taken. And so I hated this moment because they tried to gaslight them and say, well, y'all didn't have our back. But y'all never had Mimi and Felicia's back. Jared walked around trashing Mimi all goddamn season like he did Kirsten. And Sari, you never liked Felicia, especially after she said she wanted to final two with Jared. So we can't pretend like you guys were ever acting in what was best for the Brown Sugar Babes. You were not. So, but I hated that argument so bad because I feel like that just further sunk all four of their games.
Yeah.
Mimi was obviously with them at that moment because it was a huge argument in the hand room.
The scary room.
Yeah, the scary room. And so it basically exposed the Brown Sugar Babes to the house, which unfortunate because it wasn't even a real
it really jogged Corey's memory about it because Corey had been told, why the fuck are you telling them? And that's another thing.
Jared would do anything. Jared specifically gave Corey so much information that is what he eventually used against him.
Literally. Like what? So Corey already knew about the Brown Sugar Babes, so it clearly wasn't a real lie. But it's like also, it was clear that Sari wanted to go to the end with Izzy, which she should have wanted to go with the end with Izzy. I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just I didn't understand how people who were watching the feeds alongside me weren't on the understanding of Sari never valued Felicia. She was always going to go to the end with Izzy, who's not black and not in the Brown Sugar Babes. So of course, Felicia feeling like upset that they were going against that alliance and specifically her is justifiable. And then why are you comparing Felicia wanting a final two with someone within the alliance to them literally trying to evict this lady?
It's someone not in the alliance. And then also, we have to remember what they were saying to her the entire week. We're loyal to your Brown Sugar Babies. You're definitely staying. We're voting for you to stay in the game. And that's not the case. She stayed because of Corey in America. And y'all were going to vote her out. And it's like, they didn't take any accountability at all for that week. And like I said, it just further sunk their game. And I hate it because I hate that Mimi went into the room. I remember this week, I was like, Mimi, why the fuck are you in the room? Because she wasn't even arguing. She was kind of just there.
She was just standing there.
But they're exposing the Brown Sugar Babe. So it's like, of course, Mimi, you're involved in that. And it's like, good God.
Yeah. So that leads into the ending part of the game, unfortunately. It was Zombie Week after this, which was literally nothing. Just an empty week of Jared or Cameron coming back into the game. And this is the issue with people returning to the game. The reason someone has gotten evicted from the game, most likely, for not every single time, but a majority of the time, it's because they weren't playing that well. And it's because they were going to go home anyways, which is why it's very rare when someone who's returned to the game makes it farther than 1 week past it or 2 weeks past it, because they already were clearly not playing that well. So all of this was a huge event that wasted an entire week just to build up to. Of course, Cameron won HOH, took out my girl Mimi, and then just went home. It's like, why the fuck did he come back in the game? What the fuck was that? Like, it was just the way.
Especially when y'all could have just stopped the eviction in the beginning when Luke dropped the N-word. Literally. Like, you didn't need to send Kirsten home that week. We didn't even bring it up, but honestly, Luke don't need that much goddamn exposure. But so stupidly. Like I wish they just stopped that eviction. It made the most sense, especially because this whole week was just terrible. It was so boring. I think the main thing was that, of course, like the alliance between Comerica and the Minutemen was building, / Bowie James' connection with Matt and Jag. Like this is when Jag's winning path really started, because he had the relationship with Comerica, he had the relationship with Bowie Jane, he had the relationship with Cameron, because Cameron
because he knew he was coming back in the game.
Group. Exactly. So it's like he really was connected on all ends. The only people that he didn't really have was Cirie, Jared, Mimi, and Jared was out. So it was really just Cirie, Mimi, and Felicia. So yeah,
it just led to the rest of the game, because it's very simple. Like it's not much else to talk about other than the fact that Jag created what's it called? The Mafia with Matt and I. Is the Mafia? Whatever it
Mafia.
Is. So
how did your game change?
The Mafia was created, and Cameron was in the next HOH. Jag runs it. Mimi goes home. Bowie wins the one after that. Jag runs it. Like it's just Jag, Bowie, and Matt.
I want to praise my king a little bit more too, because that week he wanted Felicia to go home heavy. At the time, Corey also had wanted Felicia to go home heavy, but from the beginning of that week, Jag had always entertained the idea of maybe it should be Mimi. Corey, he got to a point where it's like, I mean, maybe it can be Mimi. I don't really care, and Jag took it from there. Jag flipped the entire week on it needs to be Mimi, and that was Corey also the week where Matt wanted to go after, I believe it was Corey in America, because he was still kind of in this mode of like, I do want to kind of protect Cirie and things like that. And of course that went out the window because Jag didn't want it to happen. So, I mean, the first example of him getting what he wants, and it just continues to happen,
was this week. And it's like, I feel like Corey in America, the only other, like, I feel like important thing was the fact that Corey in America could have, specifically Corey, I guess, could have been a contention of picking the game pieces up, because they were trying to make this thing with Felicia and Mimi, but it got exposed. They started arguing about it. And the issue with Corey in America is I feel like they were just obviously shady. It's like obviously not loyal. Felicia and Mimi never really wanted to trust them because they were clearly working with Jag and Matt, and it was kind of all up in their face. And then they were working with Cameron, but they claimed to hate Cameron, but it's like y'all are clearly working with him. So it confused the people who wanted to work with them, like Felicia and Mimi. So after this week, it wasn't even a long time that Corey had an option to be a contention in the game, because he flipped the vote and then he let Mimi go home, which was his only path to
and success. I literally said that while I was getting my notes down for this. Like, that was a huge mistake for Corey's game. If he kept Mimi in the game, even if Mimi wasn't that loyal to the idea of being found through with Corey in America, you have to realize Felicia's not out of the game. Cirie is obviously not that damn trustworthy, and Jared is gone. She has no one. She would have no one in the game but Cirie. She would have to work with y'all, and y'all interests align. You know, she said when she came out of the house that she would have targeted Jag and Matt, because she been wanting Jag to go home. So he definitely should have kept Mimi, because Mimi could have won those competitions. She was already building up. Literally the week that she went home, she was 27, I think 24 seconds behind Cameron in that veto. So she would have been someone that could have won one of these HOHs that Jag won and targeted Jag and Matt, and they needed that. And because that is what led to all of their downfall. They could not beat the trio of Bowie Jane, Jag, and Matt. And it goes back to that vote with Bowie Jane as well. Literally the vote that Mimi and Felicia wanted Jag to go home is what caused a lot of this. Even after Izzy, even if the Izzy thing still happened, them keeping Jag over Red is fucked everything up, because he kept those connections, which Mimi thought would happen, and he won all of those competitions. They lost Bowie Jane in the process, because even if they still had Bowie Jane, that means y'all will be able to control the first HOH jury.
Yeah, 2 of these HOHs. And
it's like nope, they ostracized her, lost her connection. So it's like
so much stuff that led to
that was
this
so influenced by Jag, because if you look at it, and this is not because of some game twist, Jag had a relationship with every single person in the game at that point, especially when he took out Mimi.
Yeah, exactly. And so it just all of this really just led to the win. Like I'm gonna read the comps here, because of course and this is another reason why there's like a taint on Jag's win, I feel, for a lot of people, because it was very comp heavy. The last 6 vetoes I'm gonna read out. It went Jag, Matt, Jag. He wasn't gonna go home. And that's just based off, even if he wasn't playing good, which he actually was, he just wasn't going to go home because of the comps. And then the HOHs go Bowie Jane, who's in the Mafia, Jag again, because they had him do it twice. Bowie Jane, who's in the Mafia, Matt, who's in the Mafia, Bowie Jane, who's in the Mafia, Jag. That 3-person alliance was just running the game from the rest of the thing, and that's the issue with Big Brother. One, I feel like it's should be more equitable. I don't know why there wasn't just a random pick a number as comp. There should be more luck competitions, especially when the other people other than the Mafia are Sari and Felicia, and they have to run up and down and swing up and down. And one of these HOHs was swing on a rope, and one of them was run and match the things the fastest, and whoever has the fastest time. And then the next one was who has the fastest time, and the one after that was who has the fastest time. And then one of them was a booth. And Bowie Jane.
I think it was 1 or 2 times where America almost beat Jag, Sari almost beat Jag, but they just couldn't because he was the fastest. Yeah. And I will definitely say if these competitions was more equitable and he did go home, I couldn't sing his praises, because if you're gonna go home because you can't win a comp, that's not good. But like I said, like there was not going to be a possibility at this point because of the mistakes that had already happened within the game. Like, he was surrounded by people that was willing to work with him, and they were all winning the competitions. And I think a lot of people also kind of like at the time was not wanting to give Jag his 10s or giving him any credit, because it seemed like Matt was more loyal to Sari, and I don't think anyone was expecting Bowie Jang to be such a clutch ally in this endgame. And when you realize that Bowie Jang helped them a lot, and it was because Jag made sure Bowie Jang was on his team, and Matt was always more loyal to Jag, you realize that he really did kind of eat that up, because he's had those connections with them earlier in the season. Like, he was always kind of cultivate a relationship with Bowie Jang. And we speak about social game a lot. We can't pretend like he didn't have a social game just because he was winning competitions. He did have a social game. Even Sari went into jury and admitted he had a pretty good social game. I like Jag. And he's a better player.
Yeah.
So if Sari is saying that, bitch,
I don't know what to tell y'all.
Eat it up. I don't know what to tell you. Because it's true. Like, it was a lot of negative moments, but he cannot control what the producers decide to do in the season. So I like judging it based off of what he did with it. And he did some good things. Like, the fact that Bowie J and Cameron did have a relationship that week, and she only took out Cameron because Jag convinced her to do so. Like, he won the veto, took out Felicia, told her to backdoor Cameron, and she did it after saying she didn't want to do it the entire week. And it's because he realized Cameron may be able to beat me in some of these competitions.
So
when he started targeting Blue, everybody was like, why would you target Blue? That doesn't really make too much sense. Whole time, Blue was plotting on getting his ass out with Sari, and she's one of the only other people that could also win competitions. He had to get her out. He was making very, very strategic moves in these end games that I think people were missing. Like, even going after Corey in America. Everybody was like, well, when is he going to target them? Why does he keep protecting him? He waited till the right moment to...
Because they weren't even wanting to take him out for a long... They kept extending it and extending it, and then...
And that just goes to show the social game that he has. They wanted to work with Jack. They know they needed him in that game, and he got them before they could get him.
So yeah, honestly, that was the end game, and it's like Jack really did run it, and that's what led to him winning the game. Because when you get to the final two, and it ended up being him and Matt. First of all, Matt was already going to take him as well to the final two. He was damn near, he was solidified because Bowie was taking him and Matt was taking him, and he was taking himself, and he took himself anyways, and he made it to final two with Matt, who people felt like was the strongest contender to win, and he got every vote except Sari and Felicia. Everyone understood,
who admitted that like they only voted the other way because they liked them.
Exactly, and they also understood. Everyone in the jury understood that Jag played the. It was undeniable at that point. Corey said it himself. Corey said, "I wanted to, or I was thinking that I was going to vote Matt because the way that Matt was playing seemed like the more seamless gameplay." And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. This concept of seamless gameplay is overtaking the Big Brother community. So the fans and the players like Corey, who's a super fan, thinks that's the way the game should be played until it's undeniably in his face and he has to vote, because that same idea is present with Monty and Taylor. You could think Monty should get the win because it's so more it's seamless. He didn't even get nommed that many times.
Taylor even says that. Do you want to win that we've always seen? I challenge you to vote a bad bitch.
It's like literally, and it's like you have to be challenged, or it has to be all up in your face for you to see that the game can be played a different type of way. And Corey was like, damn, it was undeniable at this point. Everything Jag wanted was happening. What am I supposed to do?
Going back to that Final Five HOH that Matt had won, that was the week it all came to culmination. And Sari stands like, girl, I was holding your hand this week because, like I said, I had been clocked. I said weeks in advance that Matt is way more loyal to Jag. So Sari stands, I gotta hang this up. And we saw it this week when Matt won HOH. Jag said she has to go, and he was literally with Jag and Bowie for hours bashing Serena and Felicia. Like, he just ain't been on her dick all season. And we see Matt postseason. The thing is, like, it's not even about understanding the strategy of Big Brother. You have to understand people. I'm not shocked by anything Matt's doing postseason because that's Matt. Like how some of y'all was gagged about Turner and BB24. Maybe that's Turner. These people show you who they are. For
100 days, for 24 hours.
You gotta believe him. Matt didn't do anything for his own self-interest. What made y'all think at Final 5 he would do so? He let Sari go home, and by that point, I think that's the week that Corey clocked. It was like, well, damn, no, I can't do anything about it because that's only benefited Jag, and Jag made sure it happened. And then going into Final 3, he was getting taken regardless because he made sure Bowie was on his side to the point of where he still cut Bowie after promising her, and she still voted him to win.
Yep.
Flops are not doing this, especially because if Jag was not playing even a good game, because that's the thing, I think some winners you can say that was a bad game. I would say it's good. I can use the word good. If he was playing a terrible game, Matt definitely wins because of what y'all are saying about Matt's game. Yeah. And he doesn't obviously win because if Matt was in the same position as Jag, Matt would not have been able to do anything that Jag did. And I think this is an example right in our faces of someone who would not have been able to do it in the position that Jag was in.
Because Matt's like a lot of y'all do say Matt's game isn't bad, and it's like if Jag is beating someone whose game isn't bad, he has to be a good player himself, or he.
They were saying Matt is the next coming of fucking Tyler, and Jag.
Exactly, and the fact that Jag beat him, and I feel like a lot of people was like, oh, Jag only beat him because the people in the jury wanted to vote for people who could win. And it's like, looking at the jury, I'm just going to read the jury out to you. And it's like, this is not the category of people y'all are claiming because Corey is in the jury. America is in the jury. Bowie Jane is in the jury. Sari and Felicia are in the jury. The only people in the jury who cares about comp wins is Cameron and Blue. Everybody else are people who could barely even win comps themselves, and it's no shade. So it's not this. That's not the concept. It's not this concept of it's only because. And they also said it. Like, they also said he played a good game, and then his final speech explained the parts of his game, and he knew exactly what he was doing, and he showed that in the final speech. And I feel like even people felt like the final speech was a lie, or he just was making it up, and it's like. But it's what was happening. He was literally saying what occurred. So I don't know how you can make up
blood is on my hand. And people was trying to that comment is crazy. I will say the speech, it came off a little aggressive. Not aggressive. It came on strong. It came on really strong, but I do think it's way comparable to a Big Brother Canada speech, honestly. Yeah. I liked it though. Like the fact that we got the Taylor
jury like
now the Jag speech back to back. I need people to get up there and talk like this. You need to be telling them why I deserve
demanding,
challenging them. And that's what Big Brother Canada people always bring. No matter how bad of a game they may have played. When they get in the final 2 chairs, they get up there and speak, bitch. And I really like that he got up there and told the game that actually happened. Like, let's be real. Mimi, Cameron, Corey, Blue, America, Sari, Felicia, in that order, Bowie Jane.
And Bowie Jane.
All went home. Because Jag wanted it to happen. And there Bowie had other connections. Matt had other connections and things like that. And they did not use them to do anything. They wanted to do what Jag wanted to do. And that takes influence. That takes power. And he has that. Even if, there's so many other mistakes. I'll give y'all that. I can't sit up here and say he's the top 5 best winner of all time. Because there are a lot of bad mistakes. There are. But you gotta give him some 10s, at least his 7s. 6 and 7s. You cannot sit up here and say that this man is just terrible. Like, people are calling him the worst winner of all time.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
That's not fair. That's not fair to him at all. I don't think so.
I don't think he's the worst winner of all time. He low though. But yeah. And that was pretty much the season. And I feel like kind of what we just explained, how we kind of grouped all 7 of those last weeks together, is kind of why I was saying at the beginning of the podcast that it's like this season, I could do without when it comes to a rewatch or a re-rank or whatever. Like when we get to this BB Rewind, I'm not going to be too gagged. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be like,
girl, in 2025.
In 2025, in 2035.
Girl, damn, the interesting guys years we in 2035. Bitch.
So I'm not gonna be too gagged, but it's really just not too high, especially after going through it. Definitely not too high of a season to me. Definitely not too high of a result for me. Not too gagged at all. But I'm just excited for BB26 to see what it can bring. I still love what these BIPOC seasons can give, because I got this type of season where I'm calling low tier, but the winner is Punjabi, bitch. And Sari was one, and the power players of the season are Jared, a black man, and Sari, a black woman, and Izzy, a lesbian, and Jag, a Punjabi man. It's like, girl, there's nothing more I could ask for when it comes to at least who was represented within the season, no matter how the season went. So I know every BIPO season is going to give me something that I love and need. So I'm excited for this next season for sure.
If they give it another black and brown winner in a row, somebody gonna be mad.
Because wait, it went Xavier, Taylor, Jag. We ain't got nothing white.
Girl. Until you include Canada, you gotta include Canada to do that.
And this is the thing. It's like they should, in my opinion, they should continue to cast less white people, because the more dynamic players. And I'm not even trying to just be. First of all, I am trying to just be pro colored, but also just in general, just to try to be objective. If I'm being as objective as possible, when you talk about the power players of these last three seasons, they are the people of color. They just are. Taylor Hell won, and the finalist was Monty. There's nothing else you can say about that. Like, that's just what that was. And even when you come to other power players, there's something diverse about them. Michael Bruner, who won the most comps, he's gay. When you go to BB23, the entire cookout, Derek X was a big player. Alyssa was the next biggest player, and it's like that was basically it.
And it's like Sarah Beth is a lesbian, you know.
And it's like it's the dynamic. The people, the boring people are the people who, or the problematic people are the people who, you know, were the same archetypes we've been getting. So it's like, get more diversity and you get good shit, ho.
Ooh, no hoes.
So, Big Brother, I challenge you to cast a more diverse, more diverse than what you've been.
I will say, as far as like cast, I really did enjoy the people. Miss Felicia is one of the best casting choices.
Yes,
I love Miss Felicia. I hope they continue to cast people like her. I did live for some Jag by the end, y'all. Yeah, Jag and I love America. I love Blue. I love Corey. It was a lot of good dynamics with the people. I really love the personalities. I think that they were kind of outshadowed by the fields of it all. And that's why I am excited for BB26, because it was 3 weird seasons in a row, kind of. BB23, it was the cookout. So I feel like when we talk about the cookout season, you're always talking about what if there was no cookout, to talk about how other people would do, or even how
it's like hypotheticals.
The alliance would do. It's a lot of hypotheticals. And then with BB24, you can't really like that.
It's circumstantial.
They were all weirdos. And it's like, love that my good sister Taylor won. That wasn't circumstantial, bitch. She ate that up. But it's like I couldn't enjoy the watch. It was like, I'm only rooting for Taylor. And great ending. Oh my God, even talk about it, I just but hey. And then BB25, you kind of have the returnee effect. Like, even though Sari isn't from Big Brother, she is still the returnee. And because she was so light years ahead,
it was so much.
I remember literally in one of the recaps you said that she is the most experienced person to ever play Big Brother, because she's done on so many other strategic shows, and that makes sense. Like, she was light years ahead of anyone else when it comes to strategically, socially in that game. So I'm excited to see a season where it's 16 people who are all starting off on the same playing field, because I think that 23, 24, and 25, they all was like, the way the strategy went was skewed because of something major. Like, I want to see a season where like there isn't one person randomly ostracized, or there's not a returnee eating them up, or there isn't this dominating alliance that's eating them from day one. Like, I kind of just want to see, I guess not coalition is normal, because I don't think it's going to be normal. It's going to be something probably entirely unique. And that's another great thing about these diversity seasons. You cannot say 23, 24, or 25 is the same in any way. They're totally different. So I know 26 is going to be even better. Totally, I'm just excited that it's probably going to be all new people. Like, I'm so here for that.
I agree. I can't wait to see what it's going to bring, because like you said, there's always been something to these last couple of seasons where it's like, it makes them just different in an otherworldly type of way. It's like, this is just so particular. Like, this situation happening really changes the entirety of what the season really is for all 3 of these seasons. And it's like, I want to see an all new cast. And it's like, I don't mind people. Well, people shouldn't be ostracized. That's terrible. But it was the way Taylor and the extent to what it was and how big it was and how much it overtook the season is what made it so weird because we've had it.
Like that was the storyline of the season.
That hashtag was the season. It changed the entire idea of the season. No one else mattered but Taylor, truly. And then in BB23, not that no one else mattered but the cookout, but it's like they overtook it in such a powerful way. And then BB25, it's like, it's not that no one else mattered but Cirie, but the way we experienced the season was so much through Cirie's lens in an overpowering way that every other character was dulled. If Cirie wasn't in that season, it would have been a whole plethora of new characters. If Taylor wasn't ostracized, it would have been a whole plethora of new characters. If the cookout didn't exist, it would be a whole plethora. It's just, we've created these 3 seasons that it's like only certain people really were the focal point, and it lacked the dynamics of what usually a Big Brother season will create, or some Big Brother season.
A new era.
What we need? Split. We do need a split. Or you know what I was thinking? I was thinking of BB18 because of BB18, you got to see every different angle of the house because
it kept duos, basically.
Yeah, like hella duos or hella groupings or just a split. That's what we need.
Because BB25 was almost that split because they had the Family Style and the Professor, but they ain't last child. I want to see a good nasty split where both of the sides hate each other guts and they just turn each other back.
It only happens every 14 seasons because it happened in 6, it happened in 2. Oh, and it happened in OTT.
And that's why OTT is so
and it happened to OTT. So it just happens so rarely, and I can't wait till we get to that rare season.
Scared to choose a side, but I love when sides are chosen, and like, yeah, I'm really excited. Like, because the fun thing is that I know these new era seasons are going to continue to be unique because there's no way you don't cast more diverse people and it's not more unique, and that's what we're seeing. Because even examples like BB18, I think BB18 is one of those like asterisk marks in the 16 to 22 era because there was so much diversity. Nicole ends up being the winner. So I just love that we end up just having these unique winners. Because even Jag, Taylor, and Xavier are 3 unique winners in their own right. That polarizing people. And yeah, what Big Brother has become with diversity is just so much fun, and it keeps me tuned in. It really does. Because I would not be here if it did not happen. If the rule did not happen, I would not be covering Big Brother to this day.
We would not be here. You wouldn't know what the reality.
I was not gonna watch 23 until the rule came out. I didn't even watch BBK 9. And if I'm not mistaken,
BBK 9 came first. For sure.
BB9 came first. BBK 9 came first, but BBUS, they didn't even announce the rule until after BBK 9, right? So I didn't even know. And then one day I saw the rule, I was like, okay. And I saw that cast. I said, girl, let me get my ass seated, baby. And we've been here ever since. And I love it because I feel like literally the birth of this podcast is because of the diversity in this show. And we have been, and honestly, like I said earlier in the podcast, like if you've been watching from BB15 as a black person or just non-white person, really, because there was racism towards everybody in that season. It's like, and you're still here, it feels like justification, at least for me. The fact that we had to deal with the Candace of it all, the Devon of it all, the Bailey of it all, so many situations where the minority were ostracized within the house like they were outside of the house. And now that we have all of these people being able to just run it, like, I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. Big Brother 26 is coming in 3 weeks on July 17th. In 3 days. I think it's actually 3 weeks and 3 days. It literally is.
That's funny.
So in 3 weeks and 3 days, Big Brother 26 will be coming, and we will be covering it. Of course, if you're new here, we're here every Big Brother Tuesday, every Big Brother Thursday for the BBTs here at TRK at the Reality Kingdom. So every Tuesday, every Thursday, we will be coming at you with Big Brother coverage, and we will be doing occasionally recaps. If you don't know what that is, get into them. We did them last season. It's essentially when there's a big moment going on in the live feeds and you want some live feed updated, we're going to come on here and we're going to update you on what's big moments are happening on the live feeds. Last season, we talked about when Luke said the N-word, when Cirie wanted to quit, situations like that, where there's very big moments happening and a lot of movement. We're going to get on here and talk about it. Of course, like I said earlier, we are currently doing BB Rewind, where we're going back and we're recapping Big Brother 3. So get into that while you wait for Big Brother 26 or whatever, because we're going to be here all summer. This is a Big Brother podcast. Oh, if you like Big Brother, subscribe to us. We're going to be talking about Big Brother year round, whether it's a rewind, whether it's an actual season that's on, whatever we got to do, we're going to be covering Big Brother. Whatever it is. If Celebrity comes back, if OTT comes back again randomly,
we're here.
We're going to be here. So definitely just get into our channel all together. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and get into our other stuff too. If you haven't know who we are, we cover stuff like RuPaul's Drag Race. We're covering Total Trauma Island currently. We've covered The Challenge. We're going to cover the next season of The Challenge, of course. We've covered The GOAT with Diane Rogers, the winner of the GOAT. Let me stop.
We cover the us.
We cover the traitors.
US, baby. We're international puss.
Period. We're finna get into Claim to Fame. We're finna get into The Mole on Netflix. We definitely get into a lot of the shows. This is a reality TV podcast, so definitely get into and Survivor, of course. So, anyways.
And Amazing Race, give her 10s.
And Amazing Race, get into our T, get into our jizz. If you don't know who you are now, you know who you are. Get into it or whatever. Period. Follow us everywhere on all social medias at T Reality Kingdom. And honestly, thank you for keeping it real with the Kingdom, ho. We're out.